off this list in our number 10 spot, we have this creepy doctor statue. This extremely creepy doctor statue was found in a playground in Russia. While I'm sure that it was meant to show children that doctors aren't scary or something like that, the execution certainly could have been better. Not only is this statue just bizarre looking, which adds an extra layer of creepiness, just having a doctor in a playground seems weird to me. Not to mention the fact that I quite literally have no idea what he is supposed to be holding in his hand. And also, his facial features are very confusing to me. All in all, I'm not sure what to make of this one, but I'm sure it has appeared in at least one child's nightmares.
At number 9 we have Drone Park. Drones are some of the scariest technology in recent years. Flying robots that can be used for pretty much anything. When you give that power to a human being, they almost always use it for evil. That's what happened at this cursed park in Akron, Ohio. It was just a few years ago, back in 2017. Kids started noticing a drone that was flying close to the park. It didn't seem to have any photographic capabilities, so kids weren't afraid of people taking their picture. But what the drone did have was a speaker, and it started flying down close to the kids, trying to talk to them and lure them off the playground. Thankfully, the kids were smart and knew not to follow this drone and quickly told someone, but the pilot of the drone was never found, which is very frightening. These creeps are starting to get better tech. A playground doesn't need to have something supernatural to be cursed, it just needs some weirdo to make it dangerous. At number 8 we have more ghost kids. We're doing a list of cursed playgrounds. You can bet that there's gonna be a lot of ghost kids on this list. And the DeSoto Grade School playground in Illinois is packed full of them. Back in the 1920s, 300 students and teachers died at this school. There was a violent tornado that was ripping through the town. Everyone went into the basement to try and shelter themselves from the storm, but it was not enough. Now the ghosts have been seen all over the property. Sometimes people will hear children laughing, and other people have said they've heard children screaming out saying it's coming. At number 7 we have the Rhode Island Haunted Swing. You guys might have already heard about this one because the video went super viral a couple years ago. Everyone was going bananas over the ghost that took a visit to a playground and was apparently very bad at riding a swing. Is that proper English? Riding a swing? Or is it swinging a swing? Who knows? Just take a look at this video.
There's no wind out here right now.
No one on it either.
Look, there's nobody on it.
It's just moving.
There's no wind. Look at the other swings. And look at
I love how even in the face of the supernatural, that dad remains 100% New York. It does look very strange. All the other swings aren't moving at all, and the dad in the video claims that there is no wind on the playground. But if there is a ghost in that seat, it does look like they're riding the swing completely the wrong way. Also, there's a few videos out there that debunk this video, so I'm gonna leave it up to you at home to decide. Do you actually think it was a windy day and the people filming just didn't notice? Do you think it could be a possible prank video? Or is this clear evidence that something spooky is happening? Let me know in the comments. At number 6 we have the SUNLAND Hospital, Orlando, Florida. On these abandoned hospital grounds there is a playground that has a very dark past. The hospital has gone through a lot of changes over the years, each one of them more gruesome than the last. At first it was a place where people would be sent who were dying from tuberculosis. It was supposed to be for treatment, but back then TB was a death sentence. So basically it was just a home filled with diseased people waiting to die. Once the plague of tuberculosis started to die down, the hospital was converted into an insane asylum. The living conditions were so horrendous and there were so many reports of inhumane experiments taking place on the patients. Eventually the whole place was shut down, but the building still stands along with the playground. Horrible screams can be heard coming from the grounds at night, and people have said they've seen glowing orbs floating around the swings. What is it with ghosts and swings? They love swings. At number 5 we have the Haunted Swing in Delhi. I'm gonna kick off number 5 by just showing you this clip. Let's have a look. That one is so freaky because you see the swing start swinging, and it's not like you can blame the wind or something on this one. There's another swing right next to it that isn't moving at all. So either this is some very selective wind, a cheap trick, or we have a ghost really going on this swing. And the two men filming it sound like they're legitimately afraid of when the swing starts going all on its own. I don't have a backstory on this property, so I can't give you details on what would have happened to make this playground haunted. It could be the ghost of a child who was murdered there, who knows? Or it could be some ghost who was just walking through town and was like, hey, a cool swing, I haven't used a swing in like 200 years. At number 4 we have the hanging bodies. I feel like we can just stop with the description right there. If you see hanging bodies at a playground, that's definitely going to ruin your day. And that isn't all that's going on at the Hummel Playground and Park in Omaha, Nebraska. There have been all sorts of ghosts that have been seen all over the park, but the most famous are the dead bodies that have been seen hanging from ropes and then vanish after you look away. People think that these could be ghosts of people that may have been lynched there in the past. Other people think that they are dark spirits that have been summoned from people performing animal sacrifices in the park. That's a real thing that has been happening. Holy moly, this just keeps getting worse. Maybe you should just take your kids to Chuck E. Cheese instead. Just skip the park. At number 3 we have Master Splinter. I think a playground in London might have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles living below it because it seems like a maintenance worker found Master Splinter on this playground. Here's the thing, rats don't gross me out, so this picture doesn't really bother me, but I understand that rats can be a phobia for a lot of people. What I'm worried about is the kids playing on the playground. There are some rats running around that could eat your kid. Those rats are huge. Like if we were placing bets on who would win in a fight, that rat or 4-year-old, I would put $2 grand on the rat, no questions asked. At number 2 we have Cemetery Playground. Why not build a playground on top of an old cemetery? The ground's just sitting there anyways, might as well put it to use. Well, in Fremont, Nebraska, some city planners decided that they wanted to kill 2 birds with 1 stone when they constructed a shiny new playground on top of some old graves. Turns out when you do something like that, the ghosts will use it more than the kids do. The ghost of a crying woman has been singing sitting on a bench in the park. She's probably super sad because someone smashed her shiny new headstone. And for our number 1 spot we have the Dead Children's Playground. With a name like that you know it had to be number 1. This place is packed with more ghosts than your friend's phone who never gets texted back. There are a couple of reasons why this place is a hotspot for supernatural activity. So the playground is built right next to the Maple Hill Cemetery in Huntsville, Alabama. What a wonderful idea. You know what kids need while they're frolicking around enjoying their youth? A reminder that life comes to an end. And if that wasn't enough of a reason for you to be freaked out about this park, let me fill you in on how this park got its name. In the 1960s, there was someone who started abducting children and dumping their dead bodies in this park. And now their ghosts run around trying to escape their attacker in a never-ending purgatory loop. Yeah, this place is terrifying. At number 10 we have Ponderosa Park, Fredonia, Arizona. A playground is supposed to be a vibrant place that kids can come to play safely. Not a scene pulled right out of an apocalypse movie that looks like it'll give you tetanus just from looking at it. The Ponderosa Park is so spooky. It has been neglected for years and just the picture of it makes me feel like I am the last man on earth. Every piece of it is run down. The wood on the basketball backboards are faded and chipped away. The monkey bars and merry-go-round have been rusted over and the grass decided to make this place its new home, but even the grass is yellow like it attempted to live there and then had the life sucked out of it. Most of the swings are broken and there have been reports of a boy wandering around the park at night. It's unknown if the boy might be real or a ghost. No one has worked up the courage to go up and talk to him, mostly because when people say they try to, he vanishes as soon as you get close. So I think it's safe to say that he's probably a ghost.
In our number 9 spot today we have a knife. In August of 2020, the Toronto police were called to a playground in the east end of the city after someone found a knife in a playground. An actual knife. I'm not sure why anyone would ever need a knife at a playground, but then to leave it there? I'm not exactly sure if whoever left this knife left it by accident or on purpose, and I'm not even sure which one is worse. Well, on purpose is definitely worse, but if you leave a knife in a children's play area by accident, there are also some issues there that definitely need to be addressed. The police believed that it was just an isolated incident, which is good news, but the fact that no one was hurt and the knife was found by an adult in the early morning is the best outcome for this situation. In our number 8 spot today, we have a ritual. If you were to make a list of things you didn't want to see on a playground, I feel like this one would definitely be on that list. There unfortunately isn't a lot that is known about this photo, but one thing is definitely for certain, and that is that some kind of ritual is going down on this playground. It honestly seems like a playground is the most evil place to do a creepy ritual, so just alone the thought of that is definitely creepy enough, but the addition of how they are standing in the middle of the pentagram leaves me with such an eerie feeling. Like, why stand like that? People people don't stand like that normally. Since not a lot is known about this photo, I'm just gonna pretend like nothing extremely sinister is happening. In our number 7 spot today, we have a crime scene. What was most likely a completely normal playground before has turned into something very eerie after what looks like a large fire. Having the crime scene tape around a playground is never a good look, but the charring of the ground and the structure definitely makes it worse. It is unclear what exactly started this fire, but either way, whether it was a person or some kind of accident, it certainly is quite creepy and very frightening. In our number 6 spot today, we have this rusty play structure. These photos come from a playground in Russia, and I feel like I need a tetanus shot just from looking at them. This whole playground is made from recycled scrap metal, which is amazing in theory, but I feel like I would not want my kids playing here. Between how rickety the structures look, all of the rust, and the fact that honestly, I'm not even sure how you would play on some of these, it just seems like maybe this playground is just a lot more fun from afar. In our number 5 spot today, we have these unsettling structures. This photo comes from a playground that honestly just has the creepiest looking structures for seemingly no reason at all. I'm sure the weathering of these structures haven't done them any favors, and perhaps these structures are just modeled after familiar characters in the country where this photo is from, but with no context, these are really strange. I feel like if this was the playground in my neighborhood as a kid, I probably wouldn't have asked to go to the park very often. I have honestly stared at this photo for so long trying to figure out what that one in the back with the really big head is. I cannot figure out what is going on with that one at all. And I think the graffiti that is on whatever the structure is in the front definitely just makes it even creepier when we really didn't need any help with that. In our number 4 spot today, we have this ghost swing. This video comes from the Twitter user Farlina L. Carroll, and it shows a playground at a resort with one really creepy thing going on. There's just one swing swinging around by itself, and not just a little bit, it is really going. There's another swing right beside it, so it can't be the wind that is pushing this one swing seat around. I'll show you what I'm talking about so you can see for yourself. Do you see what I mean about this one being kind of unexplainable? I really am not sure at all how this could be happening or how they could have faked it. The entire video is a full minute long and the swing is moving around like that the entire time. At one point it even picks up in speed for a little bit and then slows back down again. It is seriously very uncomfortable to watch. In our number 3 spot today, we have this mysterious creature. In 2016, the video channel Apex TV posted this creepy video that was of a playground, I believe somewhere in Mexico. They caught this very creepy and honestly unexplainable creature on top of one of the playground structures. This creature sees the people and quickly jumps off of the structure and disappears, but luckily not before it was caught on camera for us all to watch and speculate about. Here is a little clip of whatever that thing is. I hate that when it looked at the camera, you could see its glowing eyes because that really freaked me out. The video says that many people believe it is something called the rake. The rake is a humanoid creature in urban legends who attacks humans and usually causes a great deal of psychological trauma, so I just really hope that this is not the creature that's captured in this video. In our number 2 spot today, we have hate symbols. In February of this year, a playground in Palm Coast, Florida saw some pretty disturbing behavior. A mother in the area who often brings her children to that playground got quite the shock one Sunday when she brought her children to play and they were greeted by a bunch of obscene vandalism. The graffiti depicted different hate symbols and vulgar messages, which is truly just disgusting. I can't think of any reason why someone would think that this is okay to do at all, let alone on a playground for children. Unfortunately, the security cameras of nearby buildings weren't able to catch any of this illegal activity, so it's possible that the people who did this will not end up being caught. In our number 1 spot today, we have needles and thumbtacks. In August of 2020, the police were called to a playground in Woodstock, Ontario after someone reported finding hundreds of sewing needles and thumbtacks in a playground. This one is seriously disturbing and really upsetting. They were apparently around on the ground, but also placed on the structures, slides, and swing set, so it's very obvious that it was a deliberate act. I truly can't think of why anyone would want to do something so terrible, but apparently this isn't even the first time that this park has had that issue. I'm just really glad that no one got hurt and that one mom was able to spot this issue before things got worse. The city, of course, closed the park right away and quickly cleaned everything up in order to ensure every child and parent's safety.
To Alabama. In the town of Madison, there is a playground that is said to be super haunted. During the day, it looks very unassuming. Maybe a little run down, like it could use a coat of paint or maybe an updated slide. But once the sun sets, it is no longer a semi-safe place for your kids to play. It becomes a place where the spirits of lost children come to have a good time. There have been several ghosts that have been spotted, but the most popular seems to be a brother and sister holding hands as they run laps around the perimeter of the park. As for the other ghosts, it seems like most of them laugh and play all over the park. People who live close to this playground say they can hear the sounds of giggling children coming from the park. But there are nights when it feels like there's a little bit of darkness in the air, and you can hear the sounds of screaming children. One person said it sounded like a child being tortured. Sometimes it gets so bad people will go over to the park to investigate, but nothing has ever been found. At number 9, we have the Alpine Coaster in Tennessee, USA. This is basically a super playground. This isn't some place you go that has one of those horses on a spring just going around back and forth. No, this playground is almost like a mini amusement park with less rules. The Alpine Coaster is the longest downhill track in all of America. Basically a slide that has a cart on it that's also on a track. These carts move. They can reach speeds up to 30 miles an hour. That's nearly 50 kilometers an hour. You can't ride one of these puppies in a school zone. I'm just saying, it goes super fast. And not to mention that these things have multiple carts on them, so when someone's going down, they can crash into the cart in front of them that will send them flying off the cart and into a sand ditch. So basically, this playground is half cursed and half the most fun thing you could do as a kid. You just have to decide. I wouldn't be surprised if after this video goes up, Johnny Knoxville rides this thing and brutally injures himself. We should all tweet at him to get him to do it. It would be exciting. There were a few serious injuries back in 2016 where in just 1 month 3 separate kids needed to leave on stretchers. So basically, go to this place at your own risk. At number 8, we have SUNLAND in St. Louis, Missouri. Right off the bat, that doesn't sound like a fun time. Hey kids, want to go to SUNLAND? Make sure you wear your mask so you don't breathe in any of the toxic fumes. They will make your lungs super hard. Well, this place isn't that dangerous that you can't even breathe there, but it's still a place you would never want to bring your kids. This place was the dream of a man with a very noble idea. It was supposed to be a park made to teach kids the importance of recycling by using only repurposed material. That's a pretty cool idea. The environment is a very important thing, guys, but the man who was in charge of the whole project, who was also the owner of the land, died before he was able to see his dream come true. Now the place just sits there as a massive death trap. There are no railings on any of the walkways, giant blocks of rocks, exposed metal, and loose dirt all over the place. And it's reported that the man who dreamt up the park, Bob Castelli, died in the park, and his ghost walks around looking for ways he can finish the park. So this one is deadly and haunted. The perfect combo. At number 7, we have Booth Memorial Park in Stratford, Connecticut. This place seems like it would be such a nice, cute place. So much of it is right. There are swings, a slide, and one of those things you can hang on that spins super fast and sends you flying like you got shot out of a cannon. I love when kids jump on those. So what makes this place cursed? Oh well, it was built right next to a cemetery. What is it with people building playgrounds right next to cemeteries? That seems like a no-brainer. Don't put these two things together. But we had 2 on the last list, and then we already have 1 on this list. I mean, if I was a ghost in a cemetery and I saw kids dancing around a playground, I would 100% haunt them. I would be so bitter. I'd be like, look at those stupid kids with their whole life to live. I'm gonna go scare them and do irreversible psychological damage. There have been reports of ghosts that will walk through the playground, knocking on different parts, trying to get people's attention. Also, if you look into the next door graveyard, you might see a shadow monster hovering around. So cute, plan your next trip there. At number 6 we have HIAWATHA Playgrounds in Seattle. This place is basically just a bunch of metal poles that are over a story high and connect to each other so kids could climb up all over it like an endless jungle gym. The problem is it's a little too high. Kids fall off this thing and they get hurt. As far as I know, no one has died on this park, but there have definitely been kids who have limped off this playground. Why would there be such a dangerous playground built for kids? I mean, that doesn't seem like a very smart idea. Well, this place was thrown together in 1912. Back then kids had to learn the old-fashioned way, which was pain, and then if that didn't work, a slightly increased amount of pain. So I don't think there's any hauntings going on at this old school landmark, but there's definitely a few kids that should be put on concussion protocol after spending an afternoon playing on it. At number 5 we have a playground in Tver, Russia. I don't know if you can call this place a park. It's like someone just wanted to make a park and the theme they chose was sharp metal. Every piece of the playground is old rusted metal, and the attractions, if you can call them that, seem more like they're designed to test you for space travel rather than give a child a fun time. The playground is closed down, but if you're in Tver, Russia, you can still go visit. There are no fences or anything stopping people from entering. Also, the park has no name, which makes it even creepier. At number 4 we have the Grand Canyon Swing. Okay, I'm just gonna show you guys this one in a video, and then you can make a judgment call on this one and understand why it's cursed. Yeah, I don't know if you can call this a playground, but it's certainly an attraction for kids, so I think the two go together, and it's something I'll say no thank you to. I don't need that in my life. Never. I'm saying this one is cursed and we're moving on, okay? That's enough. I'm never doing anything like that. I don't need to poop my guts out when I'm swinging a swing. No thank you. At number 3 we have Action Park. This park was so famously dangerous that they made a movie about the construction and opening of it, and it starred the aforementioned Johnny Knoxville, and we know that guy loves to get hurt. That's how you know a place is dangerous. There's a combination of a few things that made this place cursed. Most of the people who went to the park were wasted. They got super drunk. There was little to no safety inspections. The staff was poorly trained. And it was in New Jersey. Ugh, I'm just kidding, I love you guys in New Jersey. But la pièce de résistance was the slide called the Cannonball Loop. Picture a slide that does a loop completely closed. In theory, crazy fun idea. But in reality, you end up smashing into the opposite sides as you go through the loop and severely hurt yourself. Now this park has been closed down and you can't go there anymore. If it was still open, it would definitely be number 1 on this list. And just a little extra to sprinkle on this, 6 people died at this park. At number 2 we have Spring Farm in Sydney, Australia. This place has been nicknamed Sunstroke Park. Right off the bat, you know you're gonna have a good time after you get the IV in your arms so you can get all those fluids put back into your body. Basically, they built a park in Australia, which is one of the hottest countries in the world, and they didn't put any trees or roofs or any objects to shield the children away from the sun. So kids are tasked with playing in the direct heat like they're crossing the Sahara. On top of that, there's some pieces on the playground that are painted with black paint, and I don't know if you know this, but black attracts heat. So there are parts of the playground that get so hot they will burn kids that touch them. I think it's safe to say if you want to check out this park, you should do it in the middle of the winter. Any other time you would have to bring aloe vera and get ready to soothe all of your burns. Well, actually apple cider vinegar is good for sunburns just because it's technically a chemical burn. See, sometimes you actually learn things on this channel, huh? And for the number 1 spot, we have the WECCACOE Playground in Philadelphia, USA. So guys, I'm gonna one-up myself on this one. This isn't just a playground built next to a cemetery. They went ahead and built the bad boy right on top of a cemetery. Why beat around the bush and pretend you don't want it to be haunted? Just jump ahead and get the whole thing infected with ghosts until the end of time. Get the little kids dancing on the dead bodies. And this isn't just any old burial site. The Mother Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church was using this spot for a long time. This has been the resting place for bodies of people who have passed on to the other side since the 1800s, and that means there is a good chunk of deceased that have made this place their final resting place. Now, how many people do you think are buried here? 400 people? 500 people? Think even higher. 900 people? Well, if you guessed anything close to that, you are way off. I'm gonna tell you that there are over 5,000 people underneath this playground. Just go for a stroll through this place and see what happens. I promise you won't be alone.